What's up gamers, Cryptico here, and welcome back to Lowering the Mark, a show where I analyze the current and former world records of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe time trial runs to see how these records get faster over time. We'll look at elements such as the loadout, racing lines, and mushroom usage to better understand what's bringing these times down. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the notification bell to be the first to know when my videos go live. For today's episode, we'll be going back to the comments and taking a look at an old favorite from 2008, Grumble Volcano at 200cc. On May 2nd, 2017, the world record for this run was set at 1 minute 27.139 seconds by the German player Kinzo. Fast forward to just over a month ago on June 25th, 2022, and the record was brought down to 1 minute 22.403 seconds by the Spanish player Alberto. That's a whopping 4.7 second difference between records and a 5.4% faster time. Our former world record holder Kinzo has broken 22 world records across 4 unique runs and has spent a total of 135 days holding at least one world record. Our current world record holder Alberto has now broken over 860 world records across 70 unique runs and has spent nearly 1,550 days holding at least one of his fluctuating 42 current world records. At pre-release, the world record for this run was over 14 seconds slower than it is now, and it immediately entered the 127 to 26 range, mostly thanks to Kinzo and Canadian player Sergeant Guy. Towards the end of that short-lived rivalry, Irish player Kevin stepped in and became the first player to go 125. Kinzo stepped back in for a few records, but Kevin continued to bring it down further and further, all the way to another second break at 124. Now in April of 2018, American players Tommy and Jimmy made their marks on the course, taking nearly 0.3 of a second off Kevin's best time. He probably took that personally as he embarked on this 17 record reign over the course of the next 9 days, which resulted in him getting another second break and dipping into the 123 range. Fast forward to March of 2019, and we see Kevin's time at the top come to an end. Japanese players Somin and Tane went back and forth for a few records, but the former would get the last laugh as he posted up this 123.3 that stood as the world record for over 400 days. From February of 2021 and on, this course has seen records from Plunky, Panda, and Alberto. Panda held the upper hand for a while, but Alberto recently put a stop to that, and that's where the record sits today. In total, the record was broken 80 times by only 14 different players. These loadouts have pretty similar themes going on here despite being 5 years apart in terms of viability. Kinzo goes with the combo of Dry Bowser driving the Streetle with the rollers and the Super Glider. Alberto goes with Roy driving the Biddy Buggy with the Azure rollers and the Paper Glider. These two loadouts are really close in terms of performance. Kinzo holds the high hand in top speed and grip stats, while Alberto has the slight advantage in acceleration, handling, and mini turbo stats. Even though the performance is pretty well matched, Alberto having those slight advantages is what enables him to pull off the strats you're about to see and take over 4.7 seconds off Kinzo's former world record. You can't ever go wrong with Grumble Volcano. It was fun on the Wii, and the remake for the Switch is every bit as good. Granted, they did remove the only part of the course that made the time trial interesting, but the overall coolness of the track makes up for that missing feature. Let's dive into these world records and see how it got faster over time. Kinzo hits the rocket start out of the gate and grabs the jump boost before heading straight into the volcano. He then grabs this quick super mini turbo around the first turn before heading off the ramp into S2. Alberto also hits the rocket start, grabs that first jump boost, and gets the super mini turbo around the first turn to close out this short section. That looked pretty much the exact same as Kinzo's S1, but Alberto comes out with the early lead thanks to his slight advantages in his performance stats. His lead sits at just over 0.2 of a second going into S2. Both racers run S2 pretty similarly on lap 1. After that jump boost, they'll bear right and grab that first super mini turbo and chain it to another one before grabbing just a normal mini turbo before they exit the volcano. Again, pretty similar stuff from both racers, but Alberto comes out ahead again because of his slightly better line throughout S2. He's up on Kinzo by over 0.6 of a second going into S3. Kinzo hits this jump boost and tricks off the glider before gliding towards the left and landing right up at these coins. He then chains this long super mini turbo before hitting a jump boost off the ramp. After bearing right, he'll realign himself before using his first mushroom to drift off the ramp and over the off-road for the mini turbo as he grabs one more jump boost to close out the lap. Instead of a trick, Alberto drifts off the normal and glider ramps for the mini turbo as he flies on down towards these same coins on the ground. He He also charges up a super mini turbo, but uses his first mushroom to cut out most of this long turn and skips the ramp entirely. Now on the ground, he too bears right and grabs a quick mini turbo before hitting a jump boost off each of the final 2 ramps to close out lap 1. Now we have some real differences to take a look at. We see that Kinzo opted to cut the last turn out, while Alberto opted to cut one of the largest turns out. You can take a guess as to which one is going to save more time over the course of 3 laps. It's Alberto's. Duh. His lead now sits at nearly 1.3 seconds after lap 1. Here on S1, we see both racers hit that jump boost and grab that quick mini turbo around the first turn before reaching the ramp at the end of the section. Nothing to really highlight here aside from the fact that Alberto's lead has jumped up to over 1.5 seconds at the end of S1. Through S2, both racers will hit that jump boost and start to chain these 2 super mini turbos through the winding road deep into the cave. After that, they'll chain a normal mini turbo to that before the ramp at the end of the section. The main reason Alberto saves a lot of time here is because he drifts through the winding road on a much tighter line than Kinzo while reaping those longer lasting mini turbos he chained through there. His lead jumped up to over 2 seconds at the end of S2. For Kinzo, S3 looks a tad different on lap 2. He actually drifts off this ramp before tricking off the glider and bearing left during this flight. Once he hits the ground, he chains the same long super mini turbo through this turn and grabs the jump boost right after that. After bearing right, he realigns for that same mushroom cut through the final turn for the mini turbo and final jump boost as he comes across the line. Let's zoom in on Alberto for a second. We see he drifts off both ramps for the mini turbo and short flight back to the ground. After that, he's going to use his mushroom and carefully drift between these dead trees and time his super mini turbo release so that he makes this mini gap jump to the other side. After that, he too bears to the right, but grabs this quick mini turbo before hitting 2 jump boosts to close out the lap. Watching his shortcut so close up like that, and then zooming out to see where the actual turn is, you realize just how much track Alberto was able to cut off by performing this shortcut. Repeating that on all 3 laps is one of the main reasons he's currently putting Kinzo's former world record to shame. Alberto now leads by over 3 seconds going into the final lap after outsplitting Kinzo by over 1.7 seconds. For his final lap, Kinzo grabs that early jump boost and super mini turbo through the first section before hitting another jump boost, after which he'll chain 2 more super mini turbos and a normal one through the winding path of the inner volcano. Upon exiting such place, he'll trick off the ramp and glider ramp as he flies on down towards the left side of the track. He then hits this long drift around the next turn for the super mini turbo and then grabs a jump boost off that ramp. To close it out, he uses his last mushroom to cut through the final turn and grabs just the mini turbo as he comes across the finish line. Alberto also gets the early jump boost and super mini turbo around that first turn. After hitting another jump boost, he enters the inner volcano on a tighter line and chains 2 super mini turbos followed by a normal one. After drifting off both ramps, he glides on down to the left side of the track and begins charging up another super mini turbo while using his last mushroom to cut out this long turn. Now at the other side, he realigns himself for a quick mini turbo and jump boost as he rides over the last ramp to close out the race. One final lap of fast driving later, Alberto has posted a time that was over 4.7 seconds faster than Kinzo's former world record. So by getting longer lasting mini turbos, staying on a slightly better line all throughout, and using his mushrooms in a better place, Alberto was able to snap Panda's near 500-day world record reign on this course and take 7/100ths of a second off the previous world record in the process. This was nothing short of a phenomenal run given how congested this course feels at 200cc, but is it possible that it could get even more phenomenal by being faster? The best known splits for this run show that as much as this time has gone down over the past 5 years, it can still go down by a lot more. Alberto owns all 3 of these best known laps, and one of them happens to be the closing lap of this world record. As for laps 1 and 2, there's way more than a few tenths that can be knocked off. The best known sometime is by far the furthest away from any world record I've taken a look at thus far, which speaks to the possible inconsistencies this track has. But the big question is, with all these free tenths of a second up for grabs, who's going to be the one to take the record down further and potentially into the 121 range? The worldwide top 10 consists of 7 national and 4 continental record holders. Alberto sits at the top, less than a tenth behind him is Australian record holder Panda, and down there in third is French record holder Army. Rounding out the 122s is Genzua for Admin, Eternal X, and Plunky. Down there in 7th is Technical, and just a few hundredths of a second behind him in 8th is German record holder Alpha. Rounding out the top 10 with less than 2/100ths of a second in separation is Albert and Kokone. You all know that Panda and Alberto have been running this course since February of 2021, which makes it safe to assume that they are the best 2 players on it. Picking anyone else to break this world record seems a bit far-fetched, and with Alberto disrupting Panda's reign, you wonder if that's enough to kick off another battle between the two for not only the top time, but the first 121 that is more than theoretically possible. Only time will tell. That's the end of episode 82. Hope you found it interesting. If you did enjoy this video, like and share it with your friends and comment on which of the remaining courses you'd like me to analyze next. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.